Hi, welcome back to the English Meeting Room. My name's Hannah. Thanks for joining us for the video this week. I've been talking a lot about CV writing, but one area that I haven't covered is education on CVs. And yet this is huge. A lot of you out there will have spent a lot of time and money, no doubt, on your education. So it's important to use this experience well on your CV in order to enhance your overall professional brand and make your CV stand out to employers. When reviewing CVs, I generally see one of two things. Either people overplay their education and it's too prominent in their CV, or they underplay it and don't use it to form part of their overall CV and impression to a recruiter. But done right, this can really work well with all of your work experience to form a full picture of you as a candidate. So you may be sitting there watching with 40 years work experience, wondering if this is relevant, but it's still important to consider how your education forms part of your CV. Or you might be a fresh graduate, straight out of university. This is really important for you as you consider how to put together your first CV in order to land that all-important first job. I'm going to cover subjects such as where should your education feature on your CV, what levels of education should you include, as well as some tips and advice in order to best display your education on your CV. So let's get started. So the first question is, where should you put your education on your CV? Should it be the first thing someone reads, or should you put it right down at the bottom? Well, the answer is it will very much depend on you as an individual and what stage of your career you are in. Let me explain. Your CV is the most important document for selling yourself to recruiters and hiring managers. Now, most recruiters and hiring managers, when they open your CV, will read the first page or the first half of your page. But they're not necessarily going to read on unless they like what they see. So this first page of your CV is the most important. That is the place where you want to feature the information that is going to make them want to read on. And this may differ depending on who you are. So if you are a fresh graduate, then your education is going to be really important to the recruiter. It's probably one of the first things they are going to want to know about you. So it should be one of the first things listed on your CV on the front page. Even more so if you have excellent grades or you've done a degree in a subject really matching the job that you're going for. But if you've been working for a long time, your education might not be very relevant anymore. Instead, your most recent work experience is the thing that is going to really sell you as a candidate and get the attention of the recruiter or hiring manager. If that is the case, then I would recommend putting your education after your work experience and allowing your excellent work to be the thing that really sells you to recruiters or hiring managers. The second thing to consider is how much of your education to feature on your CV. Do you need everything from when you started school at age 4 or 5? What is the cutoff point? Again, this will depend on what level you have studied to. Perhaps you finished school at age 16 or 18 and went straight to work. Or maybe you've been studying your whole life and you've got a long list of letters after your name. Well, as a general rule, I think it's best to simply include the two most recent stages of education that you have completed. If you did leave school at age 18, that might be your exams at age 16 and your exams at age 18. But if you've studied to a higher level, then this might be your bachelor's followed by your master's. Whatever it is, you don't need to include the most historic bits of your education. Space on your CV is valuable, And once you've studied to a higher level, this information becomes less relevant and is just not really needed. Remember, the most important question you can ask when evaluating every section of your CV is, does this enhance my professional brand? Will this help my chances of getting a job? Every element should be scrutinized with that question in mind in order to make sure your CV is selling you as a candidate. You might be wondering, okay, but what about all the professional qualifications and training I've done since I started working? Should I add these to my CV too? Well, the simple answer is yes, but just consider what you're adding and whether it really enhances your CV and your professional brand. So if you've done a professional qualification, this is usually very relevant for the job you're applying for and should be featured under a separate heading so that it's really clear to the recruiter or the hiring manager that you are qualified for the job that you are doing, perhaps as a lawyer or an accountant or something else where this is crucial to them hiring you. Now, when we think about professional training and certificates, this can cover so many things. And the biggest mistake I see is that people list every single course they've ever been on, whether it's relevant for the job they're applying for or not. Remember, space on your CV is valuable. Everything on there should enhance it and serve to make you look like a better candidate. So definitely include those trainings, but consider what is going to really sell your story and your experience to the hiring manager. Now, what information should you include under your education? There's some things which for sure need to go on there, such as the institution you studied at, be that the college or the university, and of course, the name of your qualification. But there's some things that could go on and could not. One of those is your grades. So some of you sitting there might be straight A students. You had fantastic grades, you love school, you love studying. Great, include that on your CV. It's going to make you look good to the hiring manager. But some of you, maybe not so much. Perhaps you just didn't really like school, you didn't get it, your grades aren't all that. You may be equally intelligent and as good a candidate, but your grades are gonna let you down. Fine, leave them off. It's not mandatory to include those on your CV. Now, there was always a group of kids in school that did everything. They were top of their class, they were head boy or girl, they got every certificate, they were president of every club, they ran the school newspaper. You know the type. Perhaps that's you. Should you include those kind of details on your CV? Well, again, it depends how relevant they are. I've seen people who've been working for 20 years that still mention that they were head boy or girl. Perhaps you're just clinging to past achievements. I'm sure you have something more relevant and up-to-date you can add to your CV. But look, if you've just got out of school, this all enhances the story you're telling. So include it. Especially as a fresh graduate, one of the biggest challenges is having enough information to add onto your CV and to showcase who you are. So use all of these things to really just enhance your application and give a full view of you to the recruiter and hiring manager. Remember, always think, what is going to enhance my personal brand? What is going to enhance my application? Every bit of your CV should be scrutinized with that thought in mind. The final mistake I want to address is grammar. And please don't switch off now. I know most people hate grammar, but it's really important to get these details right on your CV, especially if you've said you're detail-oriented. So, what's the grammar mistake people make on their education section? It's with the spelling of bachelor or master's. So, if you have a Bachelor of Engineering, it's spelled like this, without an S, a Bachelor of Engineering. But if you're writing, I have a bachelor's degree, the S is showing possession. So it should have an apostrophe, a bachelor's with apostrophe S. The same rule goes for master's degrees as well. So make sure you get that right. Don't make that little mistake that so many people do make on their CV. So, education, it's a huge topic that can either enhance your application or distract from it. Make sure that you are always listing your education in a way that's going to enhance your professional brand and make your CV really shine to employers or hiring managers. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of all my latest content, and I really hope to see you again next week.